We are back at it.
You expect to not get your teeth kicked in on your home field by Tulsa!
Champions of the Big 12.
This is not the 1980s OSU.
Zach Robinson, a lot of time going deep for Des Bryant. He's open. Diving catch. Touchdown, Oklahoma State.
We are back at it. Welcome back to another edition of the Pistols Firing Podcast. I'm Carson Cunningham, joined as always by Colby Powell. Colby, how we doing? It's Friday. We got college football coming up. It's raining outside, which I know is not good for your golf game, but we do have a lot to get to. A lot going on with Oklahoma State. How are you?
Oh, man, I'm good. I was golfed out after last weekend, so I haven't even looked at a golf club this week. Wasn't planning on playing this weekend, so this is perfect time for it to rain. Carson, I don't know about you, but I got my yard mowed yesterday, got my fertilizer put down, edged, weed eater, got everything freshly manicured. And then that kind of first light rain hit last night, and then the overnight downpour. Something very satisfying about getting the yard work done right before a good rain comes through.
Yeah, that is satisfying because then it gets a little stressful once it starts pouring and you haven't done it, and it's just going to grow like a weed. So that's good. You got it done. I set the trash cans out before the rain hit me, so we're both ahead of the game here. Man, we got a lot to get to. I have some interesting tidbits on the coaching search, which we'll get to. Chad Weiberg has a new contract approved from the Board of Regents. Oklahoma State put a statement out on that. We have that to get to and much more. But first, let's hear from our friends at Chris's University Spirit, your one-stop cowboy shop. Be sure to shop at chrisuniversityspirit.com. Section 231, we'll see if they go on the road this week to Lubbock, Texas. That'd be kind of funny if they kind of took over a certain section, twirling their shirts over their heads. But the thing's taking on a life of its own. Be sure to check out Chris's for the latest gear on that and much more. As always, appreciate Chris's sponsoring the pod as they have for many, many years. Longtime sponsor of the show. Colby, let's start with Chad Weiberg. I mean, I was pretty consistent with what I thought would happen. I was told that he would be the athletic director moving forward. He would be the one making decisions on Mike Gundy, and he would be hiring the new coach. And all of that has come to fruition. The Board of Regents have approved a new contract. Oklahoma State put out a statement today. Your thoughts on Chad being, solidified? All that contract stuff was kind of out there in the open for a long time as far as hadn't had a contract since June, but it's official. He's the athletic director, and he's going to shepherd Oklahoma State into the new era without Mike Gundy.
Yeah, Carson, one of the more surprising storylines that hit in September was the pretty shocking report that Chad Weiberg had been working without a contract and that he may not get another one. That raised some eyebrows. It was immediately questioned, and people were really unsure what that meant, why that would be, what Chad could have done in his tenure as Oklahoma State athletic director that would have led to that. I know some people might point to what happened between Mike Gundy and the university last offseason, last December. I think that was a very unique situation. I think for the most part, people would agree that Chad has done a pretty good job as athletic director of Oklahoma State. This is just a nice thing to have behind us, Carson, to no longer be a talking point, to no longer be anything that we have to worry about, to no longer be conjecture amongst the fan base, to no longer have any little bit of uncertainty about who's making these decisions, who's in charge of hiring the next head football coach, and who's in charge of leading Oklahoma State into the next era of college football as TV contracts expire here again in 4 or 5 years? I think it's 5 years maybe. So, yeah, I think that this is great for Oklahoma State. Chad Weiberg has done a fantastic job, in my opinion. I'm just beyond excited to see who he hires to be the next head football coach at Oklahoma State, and I'm glad to have him sticking around for a few more years. I've been pro Chad pretty much all along. I think he's done a great job, and I trust him to make the best possible hire. I like the things that he has said about this job, about what he's looking for. I like that no stone is going unturned. I even, some people don't like the timing of when Mike Gundy was fired. I do like the timing of when Mike Gundy was fired. It allowed them to hire the search firm that they wanted, the same one that went out and got them Steve Lutz. And we all can't wait for college basketball season to start. So, yeah, I'm pro Chad. I'm glad this is done. We can put it in our rearview mirror. Yeah, it's strange it drug out like this, and I think it speaks to just kind of the dynamics at Oklahoma State, based on what I've heard. The Board of Regents, it's a vast and high variety group full of differing opinions, and I think that's why things kind of got crossed with Mike Gundy and Chad Weiberg both. I think Chad Weiberg, in some of the eyes of the Board of Regents members, was aligned with Casey Schrum, and Casey Schrum was not well liked by the Board of Regents based on all the things she had done really outside of athletics. So I think Chad got tied up in that, and I think cooler heads have prevailed, and I think Chad's track record speaks for itself. This guy, he comes from great lineage with his dad, and he's done it at multiple stops in the Big 12, and that's before you get to everything he's done at Oklahoma State with the coaches he's hired in other sports. And the fact that he was able to smooth a lot of things over with Mike Gundy and some of the boosters and donors, he kind of held this thing together with tape and glue, and it took a lot. And I think I get kind of labeled, I think unfairly, a Chad Weiberg apologist, fan, whatever adjective you want to throw out. I'm just going on what I've heard happening behind the scenes, and I judge it from there. I don't have any personal connection to Chad Weiberg. I've interviewed him a couple times. I actually did a really very moving sit-down interview with him at the anniversary of the plane crash, which was tough to get through for both of us. It's a very emotional thing to discuss. But I don't claim to know Chad well at all, but I have heard many, many things behind the scenes, and what a amazing job he's done to hold this thing together with a head coach, as you can see now by the product on the field, was not doing his job to the highest capability that's required. That's laid bare for everyone to see. And so I was supportive of Chad based on all the things I had heard, and I had no reason, and I basically reported that he would be back, and that's basically what's happening. So he gets a 4-year deal, and I think, Colby, we all love what he's done with Steve Lutz, J.C. Hoyt, David Taylor, a lot of those, and Kenny Gajewski, like a lot of those things. Gajewski, I think, predated Chad, but a lot of those things are yet to be determined as far as how big of a home run hire those were. But make no mistake, Chad Weiberg will be judged for who he hires to replace Mike Gundy and how that hire works out, right? I mean, and there's so much on the line too, Colby. It's not just the football program at stake. It's the athletic department. It's what conference Oklahoma State, to your point about realignment. There's a lot riding on this hire for Chad Weiberg. Yeah, this is the career-defining moment for Chad Weiberg. Like, it doesn't get any bigger than this. You're replacing the legend, like the Oklahoma State legend, Mike Gundy, been around for 20 years. And I would imagine that this came much sooner than Chad Weiberg thought that it would come, having to make this decision in 2025 when the conferences realigned, when Oklahoma and Texas decided to bolt for the SEC. Oklahoma State appeared to be in the position to maybe become the new face of the Big 12. Mike Gundy said as much himself. Mike Gundy said back in, I think, 21 or 22, that Oklahoma State was as well positioned as anyone to kind of become, I'm paraphrasing here, the big fish in the small pond, if you will. It hadn't worked out that way, obviously. The football program went in the tank, and we know what's going to be required to get Oklahoma State back to where it needs to be. I am optimistic based on some of the things that I've been hearing. I don't think you and I have talked to any of the same people. I have heard that there is really strong support financially in terms of building a roster next season and beyond from some donors, especially at serious positions of need. A donor specifically who's willing to come in and basically foot the bill for what could be, the phrase that was expressed to me was a program changer at quarterback, whether that is the retention of Hoss Haney or whether you go out and get someone else. I don't know. I don't have the answer to that question, but I think there's going to be some real momentum with Oklahoma State football, whoever the next hire is. You still need to hire the right guy. You still need to hire the guy who goes out and gives the donors the belief to spend that money, that money is going to result in wins on the football field, is going to result in a good product and a competitive team in the Big 12. You still have to go get the guy who, even if you have the money and you get the talent, you still got to coach them up, right? I mean, we heard Clint Bowen last week talking about guys don't know which direction their first step should be. They don't know where their eyes should be when the ball snapped. And we've seen that a lot throughout the season, that guys are just, wide open against the Oklahoma State defense, guys not even in the same zip code. So you still got to coach them up whenever they get here. But yeah, for Chad Weiberg, we love the David Taylor hire, right? Like, that seems like it was an absolute home run, just absolutely crushed it. Steve Lutz, the jury's very much out, but he's doing a really good job as we head into year 2. They've got some scorers on this team. They've got a great recruiting class coming in. J.C. Hoyt, that team is ranked in the top 25 preseason for the first time in almost 20 years. Like, those are really good hires, it would appear on the surface. Time will tell, but right now those all look really good. And the reality is, if this hire bombs, none of that's going to matter. It all comes down, Chad Weiberg's reputation as the athletic director of Oklahoma State comes down to getting this hire right. I think he knows that. I think we all know that. It's a high-pressure situation. It's a high-pressure job. You're an athletic director of a Power 4 university. This is why you get paid the big bucks. This is why you get the recognition. And if you get it right, then all of a sudden, that is a legacy cementing hire. If you're Chad Weiberg and you nail this hire, and in 2 years, Oklahoma State wins the Big 12 championship and goes to the playoff, and in 5 years, they're in position, whenever conference is realigned, to be in a position to get a lot of money and be at the forefront of whatever the next era of college football is, and Oklahoma State's part of that conversation, like, that's going to come down to winning on the football field. So, yes, this will undo the other great things that he's done if he gets it wrong. But if he gets it right, this is a legacy cementing opportunity for Chad Weiberg. And that's how I choose to look at it. I choose to look at the glass half full. This is a big time opportunity for Chad to get this right and leave his name in the Oklahoma State history books as the guy who transitioned Oklahoma State football successfully from Mike Gundy to whatever the next era is going to be.
It is a big opportunity. And the good news for Chad and Oklahoma State is this cycle, for whatever reason, there's almost too many good coaches for how many openings there are. Like, there's just for whatever reason, There's a plethora of great options in there.
So many good coaches. I mean, Alex Golesh, we've heard some talk about him this week. Zach Robinson, again, Falcons offensive coordinator, G.J. Kinney, like James Franklin is out there for a little 3-week slump that he went into. There are an unbelievable amount of good coaches, and even coordinators like Colin Klein, guys like that. Like, this is a great cycle. And I sent you an ESPN story the other day. We talked about CBS last week, breaking down the jobs. ESPN had Oklahoma State at 3. They actually ranked it the exact same way I would rank it. They had Penn State at 1 over Florida. I think that's a better job. So they had Penn State at 1, Florida at 2, Oklahoma State at 3, and then they went Vatech, and then they went Arkansas. That's exactly my 5. It was broken down in detail as to why they put each program where they had them. And one of the things that they talked about is one of the things that I talked about when we were having our Arkansas conversation earlier in the week. Coaches want to go somewhere where they can be a part of this playoff. Like, that can make your name as a head coach. That can elevate you to a status where if all of a sudden you slump at your school, things start to go downhill and you have to go somewhere else, you're a name people want to get. You're a coach who's led a program to the college football playoff. Oklahoma State's in the Big 12. Oklahoma State has a real chance to win this conference, even in the next 2-3 years, if they can really turn around and right the ship. We saw what Arizona State did a year ago. So, I'm still bullish on what this job can be. And with all the great candidates out there, I don't see any reason why Chad won't be able to hire someone that is going to get the Oklahoma State fan base really excited.
Yeah, I certainly would agree with that. I think it's a matter of kind of just weighing all of the options. I think Oklahoma State's going to have options. And one more thing before we get to like the coaching search latest that I'm hearing. I don't think we're done hearing about shakeups in Stillwater. I think the Board of Regents is basically a powder keg. And I'm not going to go into specifics, but you're going to start hearing some major happenings there, and upheaval and changes, and potentially I'll just put it this way. There's going to be a lot of moving and shaking. The moving and shaking isn't done now that Chad's the athletic director full-time for the next 4 years under contract. The Board of Regents is a powder keg. I'll leave it at that.
Okay.
So.
Without divulging anything that you're uncomfortable divulging, when you say shakeups, are you meaning inside the athletic department? Because
I mean within the Board of Regents. I think there could be some shuffling there. I do think that There could
Again,
be some
don't divulge
shakeup.
anything you're
No,
uncomfortable divulging. I'm just.
I mean, we
you
all
piqued my interest.
we all like Hess as president for the interim. I think there could be some movement there. There's been a lot of talk about Kevin Stitt perhaps wanting that role. We shall see. I know he's been appointed to the Board of Regents. Let's just say that there's a lot of interesting things going on up in Stillwater. So for me, the great news is Chad's locked up for 4 years. We can have all the moving and shaking we want in the Board of Regents room. How all that works, I don't know. I just know that there's a lot of people there that are not on firm footing. I'll put it that way, and that includes many longtime Board of Regents. So there's some moving and shaking. That's the best way to put it.
I love the secrecy. I love how the Oklahoma State Board of Regents is like this cabal that we're just all like, we get snippets of information. It's just like these mysterious figures that
they
are
wear the hooded
pulling strings
robes
behind the scenes. Yes, just it's
the smoke billows,
yeah.
and Chad has a contract.
I love
smoke.
the mystery that surrounds it. Yeah, I love the mystery that surrounds it.
I hope they wear orange cloaks with hoods. That's my hope, with like a black rope around it for like the belt. So, coaching search. I mean, I do think clearly Zach Robinson would be considered front runner still, but I did want to share. I would keep the name Alex Golesh at the top of your tongue if you're talking about Oklahoma State candidates. I do think he has vaulted up the rankings. As far as if I had to like have a betting board, I would still have probably Zach at the top. But I think it's getting closer to a coin flip with Alex Golesh. I think there is mutual interest there between Oklahoma State and himself. He has no shortage of suitors. I think Florida is really locked in on or honing in on Lane Kiffin. I kind of just had assumed Alex Golesh would go to Florida. I mean, he beat them on their home field, natural bump up there within the state. But I do think they're focused on Lane Kiffin, and I think Arkansas is interested in Alex Golesh as well, which could drive up the price. But Alex Golesh has impressed a lot of people in Stillwater, and there's a lot to like there, which we can get into. Colby, I have a full screen we can kind of pull up here in a second, but the latest that I have is that Alex Golesh his stock has really, really risen amongst Chad Weiberg, the powers that be, and it's a hard guy to say no to, even though you got Zach waiting in the wings, and you have to weigh those two together. But I do think Alex Golesh has probably surpassed G.J. Kinney in the betting board, so to speak.
Yeah, I do think he'll be highly sought after. I think he's probably nationally one of the top candidates for all of these jobs. Penn State, Florida, Arkansas, Virginia Tech, and Oklahoma State. I think all five of those schools would potentially have some interest in Alex Golesh. He was the number one guy kind of for me whenever we started this. If you're looking for someone with head coaching experience, he was kind of the first name that I threw out. I just love what he did at Tennessee offensively. I want to get back to an Oklahoma State offense that I can show up to Boone Pickens Stadium and be excited to watch take the field. That hasn't been the case for a few years now. I want to get back to that. Like I want to get back to the era like Zach Robinson, Brandon Whedon, Clint Shelf even had a run. Mason Rudolph, Spencer Sanders, like these offenses that made me excited to go take my seat, knowing I was going to see some fireworks. I think Alex Golesh can give you that. He was unbelievable with those offenses that he led at Tennessee. And at South Florida, he's been nothing short of just – I mean, he's been amazing for South Florida. So, yeah, he'd be a smash for me. I've loved him since the start of this thing. I do think you're going to have some serious competition from Florida, depending on whether Lane Kiffin goes there. He may or may not leave Ole Miss. I think you'll have serious competition from Arkansas. But Oklahoma State's a good job. And if we could lure Alex Golesh, like that would be I would be singing the praises of that hire on this show.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot to like here. He might just be the dude, right? I got the full screen pulled up as you were talking, Colby, and like you mentioned, Tennessee, number one in the nation in scoring offense with him there, 538 yards per game. UCF, they were second in the country in total offense, and he recruited really well at Iowa State and developed the tight ends at Iowa State and Illinois. So he's got that resume of just the up-and-comer that has just crushed it in every role he's had. And I think, as you can see at the top of the graphic there, USF went from 1-11 to 7-6. I think they went 3-29 the 3 years prior to Alex Golesh coming. So there is just any metric you want to look at is super impressive. And so I don't know. We'll have to see. But I do think he really has impressed the folks there in Stillwater. I do think there's been talks. I do think there's mutual interest. I do think the search firm likes him a lot. I think Chad likes him a lot. And so I guess I pose the question to you, Colby. Like, there's a lot of moving parts here, but how do you weigh an Alex Golesh who's done it, who's proven himself at the college level, versus kind of a package deal of Zach Robinson, Jim Knowles as DC? I do think there's been a lot of talk about Jim Knowles being willing to come back. We all know the ties he still has to the state. That came around back when OU was trying to get him as the DC. That's public knowledge now. But that's a lot to factor, right? I mean, I really like Alex Golesh, but am I really going to say no to Zach and Jim Knowles coming back? That's a pretty dynamic duo.
Yeah, if you're guaranteeing me the Knowles of it, that's hard to say no to because of what happened the last time Jim Knowles was here. We've got Clint Bowen as an interim DC talking about guys not knowing which way to take their first step, and we've got the opportunity to have Jim Knowles back in town. It's a hard question. It really is, and I don't have the right answer. It's the reason I don't make the big bucks. It's the reason I'm not Chad Weiberg. Well, one of many that I'm not Chad Weiberg, the athletic director at Oklahoma State. It's a hard decision to make. I totally understand the crowd, and there's probably a lot of people listening to this who are just saying, go hire Golesh, stop the fascination with Zach. He's never been a head coach. He's never coached at the collegiate level. He doesn't understand the ins and outs of NIL. He hasn't had to deal with the transfer portal. You're going to be bringing somebody in to do that all for the first time, and you're going to be expecting him to lead you to very high success levels within the first 2, 3, 4 years to get yourself prepared for conference realignment. Why would you do that when you have a guy who's already proven that he thrives in this version of college football? I totally understand that. And I think there's probably a large chunk too that thinks, man, if you could get Zach in here with his coaching acumen in the NFL and his most likely ability to fundraise and just squeeze every possible dollar out of the fan base, out of the donors, to put a roster together, to potentially hire an elite staff around him. And now you've got an OSU guy potentially sticking around for 10, 15, 20, 25 years. Like, could this next era of Oklahoma State and its head football coach be a 3-4 year era? Maybe. Could it be a 25-year era? Maybe. And that's a question too that you have to ask. So I would be thrilled with either of these hires, Carson. Like, I'm not totally preferential to one or the other. If you're asking me to make a pie chart of who I want to be the next head coach at Oklahoma State, I think it's these two guys. Probably make up about 90% of that pie chart, each one taking up 45% of the space. And then there's 10% left over there for the G.J. Kinney, Colin Klein, some of those guys that are probably
Eric
lower
Morris
on my list. Eric Morris, those guys. For whatever reason, I'm just not as in love with those guys as I am with Golesh and with Zach. So I think I am firmly in the camp of either of these two candidates. And either one would be a smash if they hire somebody else. It's not to say it would be a bad hire. You're just asking me my opinion. I love what these guys can bring. I think they bring very different things, and that makes it a very unique situation and a very unique decision for Chad Weiberg to have to make.
Yep, it's a unique decision for sure, and two great candidates. And I do want to discuss kind of the Golesh factor here in just a second. But first, let's hear from Brewster Consulting.
Whoa!
What's happening there? There we go.
What just happened?
I don't know, but I got it fixed. That's called an audible. The audible worked. Cowboy fans. The Pistols Firing Podcast is brought to you by Brewster Consulting Group. Do any of these sound familiar at your company? Our processes are manual and inefficient with no documentation. Our data reporting takes forever and is not accurate. We hear all about the hype about AI, but have no clue what it actually means for our business. Or do your projects always run over time and over budget? If so, talk with our friends at Brewster Consulting Group. They help build organizations run like well-oiled machines with clear processes, reliable data, and reporting and technology. They have local clients like the Tulsa International Airport and Medify. They've also delivered solutions for large international enterprises like DP World. Even better, they're founded and ran by a proud OSU alum and season ticket holder. Learn more about them at brewsterconsulting.com. and learn more about their methodologies by connecting with them at Brewster Consulting Group on LinkedIn or YouTube. I think I had an old mic source in that slide there, that scene there, I guess they call it, but we got it fixed. Called an audible.
I'm just going to yell Brewster into the void.
Hot route.
Yeah, if that happens, I'm just going to yell Brewster into the void. Brewster. I'm just going to yell into the void.
Brewster, get the mic in the middle. Get the mic. Pick up the mic. I'm go hot route. But no, I mean, I do think that's where, like I mentioned, there's so many great candidates for so few roles. And I do think Arkansas likes Golesh a lot. Curious to see how that shakes out. But also, too, I think Penn State's going to hire Matt Rule, which, again, Colby, how screwed is Nebraska if that happens, which I do think it's happening.
That's amazing. Is Matt Rule like... Matt Rule's a good coach. I don't want to act like Matt Rule's not a good coach. If you're a Penn State fan, are you fired up about Matt Rule? That's your next head coach? Like, does that get you out of your seat if you're Penn State and you just fired James Franklin to go get Matt Rule?
Yeah, I mean, I totally agree, but he has gotten Nebraska better, right? Aren't they 5-1 this year? He is turning them around, which has been impossible for anyone to do.
They're better. It's a small sample size. They've still had a knack for finding a way to lose games under Matt Rule. So I don't know. It's a Nebraska problem. Like, Nebraska's never going to be what Nebraska was. That's just, that era's long gone. They're currently 5-2. They just lost 24-6 to Minnesota. Their best win on the season is probably, Cincinnati. They beat Cincinnati by 3 in week 1. That's probably their best win. So
yeah, doesn't fire me up.
Yeah, like if you're a Penn State fan, are you more fired up by the hiring of Matt Rule than you would be by the hiring of Alex Golesh? Like, I would think if I was a Penn State fan, I would prefer Alex Golesh to Matt Rule.
Oh, I would too. But yeah, I mean, I think he has a relationship with the AD at Penn State. He's a Penn State alum. So no, I mean, if I was a Penn State fan, I would not be thrilled with Matt Rule. I think he's proven to be pretty mediocre. I don't think he's won big anywhere. Like, Baylor had a lot of advantages when I guess he took over after our brow. That's a bad comparison. But like, once he got them rolling, he never quite got there, right? That's probably why he left to go take the money in the NFL. He hasn't quite done it at the highest levels, particularly even at Baylor and Nebraska. So I wouldn't fire me up, but Nebraska will be hosed. That'll just set them back even further. Maybe Mike Gundy, Nebraska head coach Mike Gundy.
That would be amazing. Mike Gundy at Nebraska would be absolutely amazing. If you're a Penn State fan, you just fired James Franklin because he couldn't get you over the hump. So what are you going to do? You're going to go hire a coach. It doesn't really get anybody too fired up, whose knock has kind of been can't get over the hump. I don't know. It doesn't make a ton of sense to me. As far as Arkansas being interested in Golesh, maybe I will come back to rue these words. Maybe an Arkansas podcast, somebody will send this to them, and they can clip it, and they can play it, and they can make fun of me in 2 months. Arkansas, if you're interested in Alex Golesh, and so is Oklahoma State, sorry, Arkansas, you're not getting him, because this is a better job. It's a better job. You want to know why? Because you can win football games here. You can win football games here in the, wait for it, 21st century. It's a better job, Carson. I'm sorry. If Arkansas wants him, whoop-de-freaking-do. Whoop-pig-sooey. You can't have him if we want him because we're a better job. And I'm telling you, if he has to choose between Oklahoma State and Arkansas, he will choose Oklahoma State.
Can you hear the music?
Yeah, now I hear it. Yeah. Go ahead, clip that. Somebody clip it. Send it to the Arkansas people. They can get mad at me. And if he goes nowhere else, if he doesn't come to Oklahoma State or Arkansas, fine. If he goes somewhere else, it's a moot point. But I'm telling you, if his two choices for where he wants to go coach are Arkansas or Oklahoma State, he ain't going to Fayetteville. He's going to come somewhere where he can win football games.
The Colby crash out makes its return to the show. I think we got it working full time there. We got the music, got the fire. I'm with you. I mean, like, the proof's in the pudding, right? I mean, you can win games at Oklahoma State. It's proven you really can at Arkansas. So I don't know. I do think Arkansas will end up hiring one of the lower level guys, like an Eric Morris or GJ Kenny type. That's kind of where I see, like, a guy who wants to make a real money that hasn't made a real money yet. That's kind of where I see him going. But if Golesh doesn't get the OSU job, though, doesn't he take it? I mean,
yeah, if he doesn't get the OSU job, yes. I don't even know why I'm so just like on Arkansas's case. I really don't. Maybe it's just because I think I do get frustrated by the idea that because they're an SEC school, they're a better job. Because who has gone there in the last 15 years and looked like anything other than a clown? Like, everybody who goes there, just they end up hanging out for 3, 4, 5 years. They look like a clown. The entire fan base wants them fired. They leave after a 2-win season, and night. So I don't know. I think I do get just a little bit upset. I think somewhere deep down in my orange roots, I get a little upset with the idea that that's a better job just because of the 3 letters that come with the conference.
I mean, it's a fair point. So Sam Pittman went, here's how many games Sam Pittman won: 7, 4, 7, 9, 3. Chad Morris won 2 and 2. Brett Bielema, 4, 7, 8, 7, 3. John L. Smith, interim coach, 4. Bobby Petrino had it rolling. 11 his last season, 10, 8, 5 in descending order there. So he took him from 5 wins his first year to 11 his last. The Harley got in the way. Houston Nutt, 8, 10, 4, 5, 9, 9, 7, 6, 8, 9. That takes you all the way back to 1997 to Danny Ford, who won 4, 4, 8, 4, 6. But to your point, yeah, I mean, that's just not winning at a high clip. There's some sprinkled in double-digit win seasons, but few and far between. So it's a good point. And if I were Alex Golesh, I think he probably knows that. And that's what's interesting about Alex Golesh is he's been to Stillwater. He was a grad assistant there for 1 year. And really, that kind of shaped his entire path. Because Tim Beckman was a defensive coordinator then. He got the Toledo job, I believe it was, and he followed him to Toledo. And then followed him to Illinois. And he met Matt Campbell, I believe, at Toledo on that staff. That's how he ends up at Iowa State. And so it's wild how coaching careers work out, because that's kind of how that grad assistant role at Oklahoma State really jump-started his trajectory. So he's not your typical coach you'd find at a South Florida that has zero familiarity whatsoever with Stillwater.
Yeah, and I like that fact. I like, even if it was just a year and he was young, like, I like that. He's been there. He's been around it. He's experienced it. Maybe that gives Oklahoma State a little bit of a leg up. But yeah, I love him as a candidate. I'll be happy if he's the guy. I'll be happy if Zach's the guy too. I think that brings its own advantages with having him in the building. But yeah, I'm a big Golesh guy, so we'll see. Those are definitely my 2, though, Carson. I have gotten really invested in it being one of those 2. So if it's not, I don't want to use the word disappointed. It's not like I'm going to be disappointed if it ends up being GJ Kinney. I don't know. Maybe I will be. But that doesn't mean he's not going to be successful. This is just one guy's opinion, but that doesn't mean he won't be successful, but I probably will be a little disappointed if it's not one of these 2.
Yeah, and what I'm so fascinated to find out once we find out who the next coach is going to be, like, that's where I do have a lot of confidence in Chad Weiberg as the athletic director making this hire. I don't think he's going to just look at it through, okay, Zach's an alum and a lot of people like him and they'll give us money. That's who I got to hire. I do think he is going to look at it in every direction of who's going to be the best coach, who's going to win the most games, who's going to do the most in NIL. And I have full confidence that if Alex Golesh is the best candidate, like, Chad Weiberg is going to be fearless and hire him instead of Zach, even if a lot of boosters probably want that. Like, I think that history tells us he's willing to do that. So that's one thing I'm interested to see how this plays out. And that's what Chad should do. If Alex Golesh is the best guy between him and Zach, I have no problems going with Alex Golesh if I'm Chad. And I have no problem supporting Alex Golesh if I'm a fan. And I do think if they hire him, he's going to have a ton of financial support too. I mean, that's a hire to get really fired. I don't think we've properly done it justice. This is probably one of the top, if not the top name out in the open market right now, as far as head coaches go. Maybe Lane Kiffin, if you want to lump him in there. Past those 2, is there a hotter name out there in college football? Like, that would be a huge hire for Oklahoma State.
Yeah, I don't think there is. Nationally, people are talking about Alex Golesh. Like, people are making note of what he's done at South Florida. And not just that they've won a couple of games here and there. It's how they're doing it. It's the fact that they can put up points. It's what the program was before he got there. And yeah, if you're Chad, what do? You go out and you just hire the best. That's what it's about, right? You go get the absolute best you can get. And that is why we tell all of you to go to Wolf Corporation. Cowboy fans, if you're looking to sell or lease your commercial property, turn to Wolf Corporation, Oklahoma's trusted commercial real estate listing brokerage since 2010. Their experienced team specializes in showcasing your retail, office, or industrial space to the right buyers and tenants across the state. Based right here in Oklahoma, they deliver results with local expertise. Visit them at wolfcorporation.com. That's WULF corporation.com, or call 405-308-3480 today. Go Pokes. Yeah, Carson, I'm Alex Golesh, Zach Robinson. I don't want to say or bust, but I'm pretty locked in on those two.
You could do a lot worse than those two. So I do think, again, I think it's getting closer to a coin flip with Alex Golesh. I'll put it that way. His name is coming in. If he was a stock, it would have green arrows going, 3 of them going straight up in the air as far as his chances of getting hired as the next head coach. I'll just leave it at that. We do have to talk about a football game, unfortunately, Colby. Oklahoma State going to Texas Tech. I believe the line has shifted to 36.5. It's jumped. Let's go to
like 38.
Lubbock real quick.
I think it's like 38. Let me go look.
38? Is that what it's jumped to?
Last I saw was 38. Let me look here. Oklahoma State, Texas Tech, 37.5 currently.
Oh my gosh, I better update my graphics then. Yeah, not pretty. So 37.5 is the line, and I do think it comes down to, well, a lot of it is the quarterback situation, right? I mean, Zane Flores was cleared. Doug Meacham's talked a lot about a platoon type situation, which maybe the sum will be greater than the parts if you play Jackson and Flores at quarterback and just mix them in there. I don't know. I mean, they've kind of tried everything, but you and I don't have to keep beating a dead horse. We wanted to see him run the football with Trent Howland, get him on the field. Rodney Fields coming off his best game as a Cowboy, get him involved. Go for it every 4th down. Just run it 4 times until you can't keep the game close anymore, and then maybe you throw it some. But I don't know. There's not a whole lot to break down here, Colby. Texas Tech's the biggest or the best team in the Big 12. They did just lose as well, so they're going to be locked in, razor focused. This is not one of those games, Colby, where you get into the November. We're almost to November. That's when teams like Texas Tech, they've already done it, but you see so many losses in November because it's so hard every single week to lock in on that week's game and not look ahead, not – to do all the sit-down interviews with ESPN and Fox. Everyone's talking about you. So I think that sliver of hope is probably gone for OSU after they lost to Arizona State last week.
Yeah, I don't think Oklahoma State's going to win this game, but I'm curious to see if Coach Johns will continue to have some success offensively like he did in week 1. I'm telling you, that offense was better than the final scoreboard would indicate. You fail getting it on a 4th and 1 at the opponent's 5. You throw a pick 6 there late in that game. Like, you had options. The 3rd and 1 snap at the Cincinnati 41. Like, there's a world in which Oklahoma State scores 31, 34, 38 points in that game against Cincinnati. I don't think that they're going to do that against Texas Tech, but I think that they got a lot of things accomplished last week. Carson, top of your head, do you know how many 3 and outs Oklahoma State had last week?
3.
Oklahoma State had one 3 and out last week. It was on the first drive of the game. Carson, this offense has been just a walking, talking 3 and out for 2 years. They only had 1 3 and out last year. They were picking up 33-plus yards on 6 straight drives in the middle of that game. They were continuously getting the ball across midfield into Cincinnati territory. They were continuously running plays in the red zone. Like, that offense was moving the ball. That offense was able to run the ball against what we thought was a pretty good Cincinnati team and a pretty good Cincinnati run defense. Oklahoma State ends up losing that game by 32 points. Sure, final score, you get smacked. It was closer than that. Oklahoma State played better than that. So I'll be curious to see, with the addition of Zane Flores, who was not on the injury report, how much two quarterback is there? How much Sam Jackson? How much Zane Flores? And how creative is Coach Johns able to get in that run game if it is Zane Flores out there taking the snaps to keep the momentum on that front and keep that rolling? Because Oklahoma State was picking up yardage on first down. We talked about this earlier in the week. They were averaging 2nd and 3, 2nd and 4. Like, that's just way different than where Oklahoma State's been living since conference play started in 2024. So that's the one thing that I'm looking for is, can this offense with Coach Johns running it, can they continue to do some good things to win early, to keep the defense on the sideline a little bit longer? Like if you're looking for something in game to keep an eye on, that's it. What does the offense look like in week 2 on the road against a really good opponent under Coach Johns?
Yeah, and I want to go back to this quote from Clint Bowen we showed last week. I keep telling our guys that we can put any defensive scheme on the board. You can do all the stuff you want to until you learn how to play this game at a very efficient body control, very efficient first step, very efficient eye control, very efficient fundamental level. It really doesn't matter. So that's what keeps happening to us. We get guys where situations, fundamentals keep us from making plays. Another week of getting back to the basics, I guess, the fundamentals that were not in place with the previous defensive coordinator and head coach. I thought the defense played better. You made a good point about the 3 and outs for the offense. The offense improved. I thought the defense improved. I mean, that was a really good opponent they played in Cincinnati. Really a tough matchup for the offense. One of the better run defenses in the Big 12, if not the country. And they ran all over them. And so I'm curious to see if Clint Bowen can – stick to the basics. I always think of that Varsity Blues scene where he's hitting him on the head with the whistle on the helmet. Maybe the basics will keep a minute longer, but, I mean, I think we all know how this game's going to play out. But I'm curious to see what kind of impact Bowen continues to make defensively, I guess is my point.
Yeah, that's a good one, too. Baron Morton listed as questionable. I would imagine that he's going to play. But yeah, this is going to be another Oklahoma State loss. Nobody's expecting Oklahoma State to win this game, but you just hope that they go down there and that they give us reason to continue to be optimistic. Carson, they have a couple winnable games still left on the schedule. I don't want to go 1-11. I don't want to go 1-11. I'm still emotionally invested in this team winning a game the rest of the way. The guys that have stuck around, the guys that are putting in the work. Coach Meacham, I've loved his attitude since he took over. I want them all to get a win at some point later in the season. So hopefully they can build on a little bit of what we saw last week against Cincinnati.
Time for uniform picks. I was disappointed no throwback for homecoming. They did go with the Pokes helmet for the first time. We've kind of been wondering when we would see the Pokes, the cursive Pokes on the helmet, which I really like that logo. I mean, just anytime you get the cursive involved, I'm happy. So I enjoyed the look, even though we didn't get the A&M type stuff. A lot of people tweeted me and said that the A&M Nike gear was more for that Throwback Thursday kind of campaign they did, I guess. But cool gear nonetheless.
Yeah, very cool. I loved the Pokes helmet. I thought the Pokes helmet was awesome. Carson, afternoon game in Lubbock. I would imagine they're going to have their reds on. I'm going white, black for Oklahoma State for a road game in Lubbock. Let's go cursive Cowboys on the side of the helmets, white, black for the road look.
Tech's released their uniforms. They're wearing white, red, white. Does that influence your decision?
White, red, white. Okay. Didn't realize Tech had released theirs. White, red, white. Maybe I'll change the helmet. I'll stick with the pants and the shirt. I'll change the helmet. I'll go black, white, black.
That's where I was going. To make it different, I'll go black, white, orange. Kind of one of my favorite road looks. I do worry about the orange conflicting with the red. But just to be different, I'll do black, white, orange with cursive Cowboys on the helmet. We've seen Patriot Pete, we've seen cursive Cowboys, we've seen cursive Pokes. Maybe I'll go brand. I think it might be time for a palate cleanser in honor of my dad. Give me the brand. I'll do brand on the helmet, black, white, orange. So that's the look for Texas Tech. I actually want them to wear something different so that people don't hate one of my favorite uni combos again, the black, white, orange. I want to wear something I can't stand, which would probably be orange, white, orange. I just think it looks kind of weak. Anytime you can incorporate black in there, I'm happy.
Yeah, I love the black. I love the black and the white. Weirdly, like black, white, black is one of my favorite combos. The all whites, I love. The all blacks, I love. Black, orange, black, I love. So yeah, it's something about getting the black incorporated in there. Just to me, looks cleaner, looks sharper.
Yeah, looks good. So that's what our uniform picks. How about our game picks? Let's go back to Lubbock, Texas. See if I
What's
can.
their stadium called? Do you know what their stadium's called? I have no idea.
Jones AT&T Stadium.
Okay. A tortilla-free
Yeah,
Jones AT&T
they're
Stadium.
banning the tortillas there at Jones Stadium. Which, look here, let's come back to me and we'll go back to stadium. That's Alex Golesh, not me. I was there in Lubbock when the Baker Mayfield game happened, where they men, women, children chanting "F you Baker" was one of the most chaotic, insane games I've ever been to. But what people don't talk about from that game, they threw trash, not just tortillas, just straight up trash, bottles, anything they get their hands on the entire game. It was everywhere. And the security there wasn't doing a thing about it. I tweeted about it. It's what a disgrace it was. And of course, some of the media members there in Lubbock were clapping back at me on Twitter, trying to defend the trash humans throwing trash on the field. But I don't think this is going to go well. I think they're going to keep throwing tortillas. Whether the Kirby Hocutt, their AD, came out and said, don't do it. But I hope they keep doing it. And I hope they keep getting fined.
And flagged 15 yards
And
every
flagged.
time. Throw it on every play. Throw it every play until it's half the distance to the goal and we're QB sneaking from the half-yard line. Also, Hocutt's press conference about it was objectively hilarious. Like the seriousness for such a ridiculous subject. He's there and he's like, we have too good of a football team this year. And I'm asking everyone, we have to stop. And this is my fault. I encouraged it. I encouraged the throwing of the tortillas. But now we need to all band together and support this team. And we need to all be one. And it just, the seriousness of just everything Kirby Hocutt was doing around the tortillas. He's like, and this is my fault for encouraging it. Dude, calm down. Calm down. I understand there's fines, there's penalties, whatever, but I thought his tone did not match the topic that he was discussing in the slightest, and I thought it was hilarious.
Yeah, it's not a national crisis. It's tortillas. It's a weird tradition anyway, right? That they throw tortillas. I've never really understood why, but don't really care. But I would advise any Oklahoma State player, do not eat the tortillas because you don't want to know where those students hide those things. I always laugh at the photo ops when a team beats Tech and they pick up the tortilla and put it in their mouth. It's like, oof, you don't know where that tortilla's been. The joke's still on you. Don't put it in your mouth. Don't touch it. Those things have been in some crevices you don't want to know about.
How about this? Every time Texas Tech has a 3rd and 1, Oklahoma State fans should definitely not throw a bunch of tortillas on the field to get them penalized. I think Oklahoma State fans shouldn't do that.
And of course, Oklahoma State's like the guinea pig for this, where things could get truly out of hand. It could get ugly. It could get nasty.
Can you imagine a Texas Tech fan, if they witnessed an Oklahoma State fan throw a tortilla on the field on a big play, and then Texas Tech gets penalized? Somebody's going to get attacked in the stands. This is, honestly, it might be what I'm most looking forward to about tomorrow's game is to see what happens with Tortilla Gate.
You might get attacked if you're just wearing orange in that stadium. I've seen it. It's a nasty, nasty crowd, and I don't care if this is clipped to Texas Tech fans. Look, I've covered them for years. A lot of them are great, but I've had so many horror stories of couples that I know that were just sitting in the stands wearing orange, and people would come up to them in their face and scream and double bird them, and just it's nasty. It's a nasty, nasty place to go watch a game. I would never wear opposing colors if I went to a game in Lubbock again because it can be nasty. So yeah, maybe OSU fans should throw tortillas on the field, get penalized, but I would do so only if I had severe backing, if I had a lot of people in my corner.
Do so discreetly. Did we give our score predictions or did we launch into tortillas?
No, I need
can't remember.
yours. I went back to here. Let's go back to Jones.
What was
Jones
yours?
AT&T Stadium. I didn't give mine, but there's yours. I got yours on the screen. Colby's got it 55-20. I got the spread listed at 36.5 still, but you said it went up?
Yeah, it's jumped up to 37.5. So I actually have that, Carson. I have that 55-20 drubbing as a slight cover for Oklahoma State.
I was gonna say,
Fist bump that if you would.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a big cover at 55-20. I think Oklahoma State will be able. We saw last week the offense wasn't totally anemic. As the game gets out of hand, Texas Tech presumably, let some freshmen get out there, get one of those 4 games. Oklahoma State, I think, will be able to get in the end zone a couple of times, send Logan Ward out there a couple of times. So we'll see. But I think Oklahoma State will be able to score a few points, pardon me. I don't think they're going to be able to stop a nosebleed. So, 55-20. I think it'll be a pretty thorough domination. But if I'm right, that's a cover. And great teams win. Good teams win. Great teams cover.
Well, I'm going the opposite. I'm going 66-6, Texas Tech.
Woo!
Just 2011 revenge for those in Lubbock. I mean, for people who don't remember who are too young, Oklahoma State went there in 2011. I think it was right the game before, perhaps the Iowa State game. I think it was. I covered it there in Lubbock. I mean, maybe the best performance from an Oklahoma State team I've ever witnessed with my own 2 eyes. Defense, offense, Whedon just throwing seeds and 40-mile-an-hour wind, didn't matter. Blackman just destroying everyone in his wake. And I remember asking Brandon Whedon after the game, do you think you should win the Heisman Trophy? And he had a great soundbite about, I think we're the best. I think we're the best team in the country, and typically that goes to the quarterback. So yeah. And then Gundy, I asked him the same thing. Man, things were looking so great as I walked out of Jones Stadium that day in 2011. Not only did I think OSU was winning the national championship, I thought OSU was about to start a reign of the Big 12. So maybe this is the reset Oklahoma State needs, a little 66-6 palate cleanser for the last 2 years. Just get thoroughly drubbed, and I hope that doesn't happen, but I'm going 66-6.
Carson, I have the box score to that game pulled up right now. Brandon Whedon, 31 of 37, 423 yards, 5 touchdowns, 0 interceptions. I will pick up my phone and Venmo you $10 right now if you can tell me who the leading rusher was for Oklahoma State in that game.
Ooh. 2011. So we had Joseph Randall, Jeremy Smith. I'm going to guess it's neither of those 2 guys. You said it. How about Rennie Childs?
That is not a bad guess. I think Rennie Childs, the Rennie Childs era started maybe in 12 or 13. Herschel Sims, 13 rushes, 109 yards for Oklahoma State. He had a 56-yard rush in that game.
Whoa, that had to be complete mop-up duty because I don't remember Herschel Sims getting a lot of run in 2011.
I don't remember Herschel Sims at all. By the way, leading receiver that day, Carson, can you guess the leading receiver for Oklahoma State in terms of tied for the lead in receptions and led the team in yardage that day?
Justin Blackman's too obvious. I'll go Tracy Moore.
Good guess. Tracy Moore, only 4 catches for 31 yards in that game. Josh Cooper had 6
that was my
catches.
other guess.
Yep. He had 6 catches for 106 yards. Justin Blackman, very quiet that day, only 6 catches for 103 yards and 2 touchdowns. So, Blackman, I mean, barely a participant with those numbers. Let's be real.
That's as thorough, like that literally was like Oregon, Oklahoma State from this year. Like a Power 4 team should not beat another Power 4 team that badly. That's why it was one of the best performances I've ever witnessed from top to bottom. Just incredible.
It's 49-0 at halftime. 49-0.
At half? Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, it was 49-000. 21-0 at the end of the first quarter. And then 4 more touchdowns in the second quarter. Everything about that is just what an era, Carson. Yeah. What an era. Speaking of what an era, man, I went to the Thunder opener the other night. Carson, tell me you soaked up I know you weren't in the building, but tell me you soaked up every second of what was just absolute sports theater Tuesday night at the Paycom Center.
I told my wife, Sydney, I said, I've been waiting since 2016 for this moment. I didn't realize it back in 2016. Like, not only just the Thunder winning a championship, raising a banner, getting their rings, but doing it in front of Kevin, the guy who took the sissy, weak way out as if Magic Johnson would ever join the Celtics, as if Michael Jordan would ever join the Pistons. But what I didn't expect was the exclamation point that I enjoyed more than the actual ring ceremony and banner was the fact when they're calling out the starting lineups, Steven Adams, roaring ovation, practically a standing ovation, just deafening for a road player. And the very next name called was Kevin. And it was just boo, merciless boos. there's not a better juxtaposition of two personalities and how the fans view them than that. Like, there's a right way to go about your business. Steven was a loyal Thunder player, has done nothing but say good things about the organization, was traded away. Hey, no harm, no foul. Kevin, you don't get that treatment because it's not just that you left, it's how you left that mattered. No, he went underground. It's who you left to. So I enjoyed the starting lineup. Kind of just wow, look at the symmetry there between Steven and Kevin, almost more than the ring ceremony.
Yeah, and it's everything Kevin has done and said since. Like nothing good about his time in Oklahoma City. And then after the game, he wants to pretend that it's just part of the Oklahoma City brand to boo him and that it's all love on both sides. Nope, I can very much assure you it is not all love on both sides. Those boos come from a very real place. And Houston, quite frankly, did him dirty, putting him back-to-back in the starting lineup with Steven Adams. Why don't we go Steven Adams? Or even just throw Kevin out there first, get it out of the way, announce the other three starters, and then announce Steven Adams. What is Houston doing? Putting them back-to-back, that was dirty. Also, Carson, they probably didn't show this on TV. Probably, I don't know, middle of the second quarter, game goes to timeout, Houston's over there in the huddle. Who's in the far tunnel that they put up on the Jumbotron and gets a rousing ovation? None other than Mr. Serge Ibaka. Let's just round up all of Kevin's teammates. Let's give them all a standing O tonight while he's in the building. Carson, in the third quarter, they threw Carmelo up on the Jumbotron, standing in the tunnel down there. He got a big ovation because all of those guys did right by Oklahoma City. Every last one of them. And Kevin didn't do that. And Kevin still doesn't get it. He still doesn't get it. He thinks it's just because he left and went to play basketball somewhere else. No, it is because of how you have talked about this city since the moment you have left. It's because of how you have been unwilling or unable to acknowledge your time in Oklahoma City. Anything about any of it. It just, and the poetry game ended, Carson, and the cinema of him trying to guard Shea one-on-one. First of all, he Chris Webbered at the end of that first overtime, and we didn't all have to talk about that. Carson, I went back and watched the broadcast. They made such a small deal out of that on NBC because they had to get to commercial. Trust me, every single person in the arena was losing their minds for 5 straight minutes. Zach Zarba, who I think is one of the best officials in the NBA, probably didn't sleep that night after a mistake like that. And some of the things that were being said to him by adults in that arena, whoo, buddy, tie your shoelaces on tight if you're coming to Oklahoma City and you're going to mess that one up. But then for him to have to guard Shea one-on-one, the game didn't end because you Chris Webber the timeout. The game ended because you, who used to be this franchise, who could have been this franchise forever, who could have watched a banner be raised into those rafters, you couldn't guard the guy who actually did it. It was perfect. Take a bow, Shea Gilgeous-Alexander. Take a bow, Oklahoma City Thunder. And take a hike, Kevin Durant.
Take a bow, Colby Powell. The Colby crash out making its triumphant return once again. That was fantastic. As you mentioned, Shea is very, 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 very hard to guard. So that was a poetic ending.
Very, very, very.
Yeah.
So good. And
I
double overtime.
I told my wife about that show you wanted me to watch on Netflix, Starting Five, where like I'm now hearing that from like people were talking about on the Sports Animal as well, like how much worse Shea makes Kevin and Harden look just by how much of an adult he is. Yeah. It's not even close. Like, and it gives you all the reason in the world to believe that Shea's actually going to spend at least the entire prime of his career just happy in Oklahoma City and chasing greatness, not chasing fame, stardom, big city lights, all that stuff, chasing real greatness, like real immortal type stuff here in Oklahoma City. And he's already doing it, man. There's 2 games. They both went to double overtime. They've won them both. He put the team on his back. He dropped 55 last night in Indiana, a game that you could tell the Pacers so badly wanted to win. Like, they're missing a bunch of dudes. We're missing a bunch of dudes. But it felt like game 8 of the NBA Finals. They felt like they needed to get that one last night. And in double overtime, Shea's like, no, we're not doing that. We're not doing that. So, and then the A.J. Mitchell minutes, Aaron Wiggins, like, don't even get me started, Carson. I could go another hour. Well, did you see... You were there. Did you see Jeff Green and Steven Adams sat there and watched the ceremony and Kevin was nowhere to be found? Like, yeah. Like, if Kevin really thought about this, like, yeah, we're all going to kind of laugh and point fingers like, hey, he has to watch this. But, like, wouldn't that actually would make me, like, feel a little bit better about Kevin if he actually sat there, watched it, clapped, like just took the high road. Like, why can't he just take the high road there? That would have earned him some public perception points.
He's not a high road guy. He's a Twitter fingers guy. It's just basketball. It's not that serious. Okay. That's why you're not going to be remembered as one of the greatest of all time, even though your skill set demands it. You've won 2 titles and everyone thinks they're meaningless. He doesn't get it, man. He's not a high road guy. He's not one of the immortals, and his skill set demanded that he would be, and he undid it. Like he's not one of the immortals, and Shea is going to be that. Oh, you're gone. We got to the end, and now I can't hear you. At least this is the very end. If it's fully broken, I can just send us out. I can't hear you. You want me to just send us out? Yeah, all right. Great time for Carson's mic to cut out. Appreciate everyone joining us. Appreciate our great sponsors. Support the people who support us. We'll be back afternoon game tomorrow. We'll be back, I don't know, Sunday, Monday with the recap of this one, hopefully recapping some good things. And we'll be able to discuss Oklahoma State's exhibition tomorrow against SMU. I looked on the Oklahoma State website. It said no TV for that one for Oklahoma State and SMU with
back.
the exhibition tomorrow. Oh, okay, there you are. Exhibition tomorrow. I don't think we have a way to watch it, Carson, but hopefully we'll get some highlights and stuff. And hopefully Anthony Roy puts up another 25-30 and the freshman knocks down a couple of threes.
Yep. In Lutz we trust is the new motto. I can't wait.
There we go.
One last thing. Have you watched Chad Powers yet on Hulu?
No, I haven't gotten around to it. It's honestly, every time I go to Canes, my daughter loves Canes. I love Canes. That's like their branding. I guess that's where they're advertising. There's posters everywhere. I keep seeing it.
Really?
I'm like, to give that oh, yeah, there's like cardboard cutouts of Glenn Powell, my cousin. So I'm like, maybe I should give this a try sometime soon, and I just haven't gotten around to it. Is it good?
I did not want to watch it because to me it looks stupid. It was like it
looks corny.
Isn't that the Eli Manning commercial where he dresses up? Like, I had no interest, and my wife was like, "No, let's watch it." I was like, "Okay, fine." Total reluctance. Didn't want to watch it. It's legitimately the funniest show I maybe have ever seen. I haven't laughed that hard at a show maybe ever. And it's a really smart show. Some of the humor is raunchy, of course, but there's really sharp humor in it as well. And there's actually like some very like moving scenes. It's very much like a rated R Ted Lasso is the best comparison I can make. So and there's college football involved. The opening scene, he's playing in the national championship game for Oregon against Georgia. And they're wearing like Georgia and Oregon uniforms. So it's a lot of college football. They have Sean McDonough and Greg McElroy on the call. They've got like a ton of like big names in it, cameos. So it's high production value. It's the funniest damn show I've watched maybe ever. So I can't recommend it high enough, even though you got to get past the ridiculous premise at first. And they kind of get past it a little bit too. And it's a really good show. So that's my last thing I had before we head into the weekend.
Okay, I think you sold me on it. I'll put it on the list. We just started the new season of Slow Horses last night. We're a couple episodes into that, so we'll have to power through that. We don't get a lot of time for TV, but it is now at the top of my list. That was a glowing endorsement, so well done.
I can't give it a high enough recommendation. So, all right, Colby. We'll meet up after the game. We'll do a post-game show, likely probably Sunday maybe, but thanks for being with me, and we'll get back with you next time.
Absolutely. We appreciate everyone being with us, as always.